Throughout history, the traits that different nations and societies deemed as beautiful for women have changed and are often different for what is seen as beautiful today. In this video, we'll be taking a look at what was seen as beautiful by some of those cultures. To get things started, let's look at what was seen as beautiful in the land of the pharaohs. The ideal body type in ancient Egypt was tall, thin with a muscular frame, small perky breasts, narrow shoulders, long legs, narrow hips, and a high waist. Ancient frescoes depict women with smooth skin without a single hair in their body. Hair, especially long hair, was seen as unhygienic and shameful. This is due to the hot and dusty Egyptian climate, as well as the possibility of getting lice, which could carry disease and affect one's health. This meant that both men and women in Egypt often wore wigs. These wigs were either made from human hair, sheep wool, horse hair, plant fibers, or a combination depending on the person's wealth and status. The value the Egyptians put on a symmetrical face cannot be understated and can be seen in their art and statues. Large almond shaped eyes, high cheekbones, a straight nose, and full lips were also considered desirable traits to have. Egyptian men and women also used to wear makeup to create eyeshadow, which would help protect their eyes from the powerful rays of the sun. However, this makeup would usually contain lead, which would cause other problems later on in life. The ancient Greeks valued external beauty immensely, and they thought that beautiful people were naturally good hearted people, as their beauty was a gift from the gods. Ancient Greek society thought that the ideal woman was pale skinned with wide hips, full breasts, and a plump stomach. Until very recently, having extra fat was considered extremely attractive on a woman, as it served as a symbol of her class. Women who were thin were likely either slaves or laborers who engaged in physical labor all day and couldn't afford to eat sufficiently. This is exemplified by the countless depictions of Aphrodite, the goddess of love, with fat on her lower stomach and larger hips that were not totally rounded. Women used powdered makeup, which often contained lead, to lighten up their face and complexion, as darker skin was also associated with being of a lower social class and signified that you worked all day in the hot sun. It was also considered beautiful to have blonde or red hair with blue eyes, as these traits aren't naturally common in Greek women. While blue eyes were highly prized, big, round brown eyes with long dark eyelashes were valued and seen as extremely beautiful. Wealthy ancient Greek women also used olive oil to condition their hair and skin. The Greeks attached great importance to the symmetry and proportionality of the face, which they got from the Egyptians, and preferred the women to have straight noses and a high forehead. In terms of hairstyles, Greek women of upper class wore their hair long, often braided and coiffed into intricate styles. If they did not have long hair, they often wore wigs. Slave women and women of a lower class were also not allowed to have long hair and often had to have their hair cut very short. Like in many other ways, Roman beauty standards were similar to the Greeks with some slight differences. In ancient Rome, the ideal woman was short, with narrow shoulders and small breasts, but especially wide and prominent hips. The Romans believed the woman's figure was created for childbearing, so wide hips often meant a woman would have an easier time during childbirth. Large facial features were also seen as extremely beautiful. A hump on the nose was considered a sign of aristocracy. Oval shaped faces, long dark lashes, and long well shaped eyebrows were also seen as ideal. Lighter skin complexions were often associated with beauty and status, as darker skin tones were associated with being a laborer in the sun. Like the Greeks, blonde hair was desired because it was rare for Roman women to naturally have blonde hair. Due to this, it wasn't uncommon for wealthy Roman women to buy blonde haired slaves, cut their hair, and make lightly colored wigs from the hair of the slaves. Those who couldn't afford to buy blonde human hair wigs bleached their own hair with a mixture of goat's milk and ash from beech trees. Youthfulness was highly prized, and women actively used different dairy products to protect themselves against dry skin and wrinkles. Romans placed a high value on personal grooming. Bathing was an important part of daily life, and perfumes, oils, and cosmetics were used to enhance one's appearance. Now let's take a look at beauty standards in China during the period of the Han Dynasty. In this period, the ideal woman was slim and had a high forehead, pale skin, large eyes, small feet, long black hair, thin eyebrows, white teeth, and round red lips. Historically, the Chinese preferred women to be ultra feminine, fragile, and graceful. Small legs and small breasts were considered beautiful. For this reason, at an early age, the chest of Chinese women was wrapped tightly with a canvas bandage. Part of the hair above the forehead was shaved off to make the face look elongated. The parents deformed their daughters' feet by tying them with bandages so the feet were tiny. All of the girls' toes were broken, excluding the big one. Then they were bandaged until the four broken toes pressed close to the sole of the feet. After that, the rise of the heel was bandaged, and the foot began to resemble a hoof. After this ordeal, the girl's foot no longer grew in length, but it was almost impossible to walk, so women often had to be carried around by the men. Women endured this torture for fear of being unmarried. Women wore white powdered makeup to give themselves a pale complexion and painted their lips and cheeks in bright red shades. This makeup also constrained facial expressions, as women weren't supposed to show emotions. Single women braided their hair, married women had it in a bun, and widows shaved their head bald. Finally, we will talk about what was seen as beautiful throughout the Mayan civilization. The Maya looked to their mace god, Ka'ash, for their standards of beauty. They found an elongated head with a sloping forehead and slightly crossed eyes attractive. Maya parents flattened their newborn baby's soft skull so the forehead sloped up and backward. A perfectly shaped nose to the Maya was a rather large one with a pronounced beak. Pointed teeth were also seen as beautiful to the Maya, and they filed theirs to sharp points, often to form a certain pattern. Wealthy Maya would have inlays or precious stone drilled into their front teeth. Maya men and women got piercings, often wearing earrings and jewelry in their lips and nose. As gold was not found in Maya territory, precious gems and stones were predominantly used in jewelry. Jade and other green stones were especially favored. Maya men and women wore body paint in special patterns and solid colors. Unmarried men painted themselves black, priests used blue, and men and women both favored red. Warriors wore bands of alternating red and black paint. Tattoos were popular, but this process of getting tattoos was painful and often caused infection. Due to this, the Maya believed tattoos were signs of personal bravery. Thank you.